Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Fronti.
Lucky you joining the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show this Saturday and every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. But this Saturday is another great show because we've been bringing with you the Giants. That's right, interview with the Giants, some of the best entrepreneurs Gino and I can find across the country. We've done that all throughout Santa Clarita for years, for over 6 years, and now we're expanding and sharing with you some of the great entrepreneurs, mentors, speakers, authors that we have come into contact with that have changed our lives and changed the lives of millions and changed these are industry movers. And we have one of our really good friends that has changed Gino's and my career and a lot of careers of a lot of people and has jumped into numerous industries now as one of the top entrepreneurs. We have Mr. Barry Habib on the line with us. Welcome back, Barry.
Thank you so much, guys.
I know you're always Mr. Humble. You're probably going, enough already. But it's exciting to see you go from mortgage professional to starting your own company to teach other entrepreneurs about interest rates and what moves the needle and what's really important in the industry. I mean, none of us even looked at what a CPI was or employment numbers or candlesticks. That was what was
funny,
on
right?
our Thanksgiving dinner table. That was about
I still
it.
remember when I came to work for you, Don. I didn't know about Mortgage Market Guide. I didn't know about Barry Habib, and I'd watch the 10-year all the time. And so it's like I came to work for Don, and shortly thereafter, I'm like doing that, and he's like, "Oh, how cute! You're looking at the 10-year." He's like, "Here, get an account here, log in here," and then that was the beginning of the shift when you just change something one little bit. And all of a sudden, years later, you become a professional in that right, too. And you say, God, how did I live without that? How was I working without that? And so it did change our career. And, at the end of the day, if you're wondering what we're talking about, it's Barry has created some product in the mortgage industry that's allowed us to help with the best accuracy possible to evaluate the difference between the moment of risk versus reward when we should lock your interest rate. That's one of the things you come to a mortgage professional for is to say, when should I lock? Well, without Barry's assistance, we would be running half blind.
Yeah.
Well, that's very kind of you guys. We try to really, it's based upon trying to increase your batting average, increase your probability of turning a conversation into an application if you're in the mortgage side or a referral from a referral source instead of speaking to 20 potential referral sources and maybe one referring you business, really helping them articulate the opportunity to the customer with real good knowledge and great resources so that you turn 20 conversations into 8 or 10 actual people that are referring business your way. So it's really powerful because you're working a lot smarter. You're not using more resources. You're taking the same resources you have, and then what you're doing is you're just capitalizing on more of them. So it's a very smart way to do business. All this stuff that we're talking about kind of started early on in my career. I grew up extraordinarily poor, and I lost my dad when I was young. My mom worked literally in one of those sweatshops, so earned very, very little income. So I know what it's like to be very poor. And I was entrepreneurial and started a stereo business when I was a kid, selling stereos, believe it or not, out of the trunk of my car. But it taught me from just talking to people how individuals are. And it's one thing that millennials today, I think to some extent, they prefer texting over talking, maybe to a great extent. And I think they're losing a very important art form is really understanding how to talk to people. So when we kind of take a look at those lessons and learning that points of friction are something that people really want to alleviate, you can take that into the mortgage business and really help them articulate the opportunity, help them see going forward what it means to the net worth, being smarter than your competition so that your conversations sound very different than those you're competing with. I think that customers really respond to that. We talked about that psychology, but taking those alleviations of points of friction and the nice things that you guys mentioned when I started my previous company and now what we do every day at MBS Highway, of course, we try and help show you what's going on in the marketplace. We show you what's going on with the real estate trends. What are the probabilities and forecasts for appreciation in your market? How to utilize social media as a great tool. So we try and alleviate those points of friction. But even in other industries that are completely unrelated, the same principles exist. You guys know that I was blessed to be part of Rock of Ages, and when we had when I started Rock of Ages with four other partners, And I was the lead producer on that. The theater that we were going to, the Brooks Atkinson Theater, before we opened, they were already looking for other shows because they gave us like 6 weeks. They thought we had no shot. So I'm used to overcoming the obstacles. And we wound up running for 6 years in the 27th longest running show in Broadway history of all the tens of thousands of shows. So we're very proud of that. But even alleviating points of friction there to the point of where I would see people having adult beverages and they were never allowed to drink in the seats. So I'd see these ladies in pretty gowns having to chug their drink before when the show was ready to start. Saying, why is that? Why can't we change that? So we were the first show in Broadway history to allow drinking in the seats. And of course now everybody allows that, but we pioneered that to try and alleviate points of friction. Same thing with, believe it or not, I got into medical imaging. I was always interested in the medical field, always fascinated with that, and opened 3 medical imaging centers, and the premise was to alleviate points of friction. You know, I hope that nobody has to go for anything serious, but if we've had to go for x-rays or MRIs or ultrasound, you know the drill. You know the tech kind of knows what's going on, but can't talk to you. You have to wait 2 days, 3 days, 5 days to speak to your doctor, and the anxiety plays with your brain, so it's stressful. So why is that so? So when we opened up our centers, the reason why they were so successful, we were able to sell that project, was because we had a radiologist right there. So by the time you got dressed, that radiologist brought you in a nice, beautiful room, showed you on big screens exactly what was going on. If it was good news, you were great. If it wasn't as good news, at least you had a game plan going forward and you knew what it was. So that whole alleviating points of friction for our customers, if we can find ways to do that, regardless of the profession, people respond and customers are attracted to that.
Great information. Barry Habib, owner of MBS Highway, one of the lead producers of Rock of Ages, multiple business, started a speaker, trainer, mentor, and so much more. But what's nice, Barry, is you're just humbly talking about you do the same thing regardless of whatever industry you're in. Is you help with 2 things. One is communication, increasing communication and education. And I know for Gino and I, when we do our consultations, we feel so much more confident in how we present ourselves and the information we provide for our clients to make them feel more comfortable about the decisions, because we give them educated information, I guess enough information where they can make an educated decision based on that information. You help with that. That's all your companies that you've created help us with education and communication.
You know, you mentioned something earlier, and I'm going to go back to our first segment on this, but I was thinking about, you know, how people buy. And one of the things that I think is difficult in today's world is that, you know, we're so used to instant gratification. You brought it up again with this text message situation. I think others have referred to it as the 0 moment of truth. So if I want something from Amazon, I go and I hit the button. If I want to go buy a car, I'll have keys in an hour. When I got to go buy a house, why do I have to wait 30 to 45 days? It's just frustrating. The process is frustrating. So until we change that process and make it easier, it's going to still be a very difficult world that we live in, Don.
And Barry, when we come back, we're going to go to a break now. There's always great information, but I would love to share with our listeners and our subscribers also how you overcame some of those hurdles, because a lot of us who want to become entrepreneurs and grow, you've had hurdles. They just see a successful person, they go, he's just got it made. It's easy for Barry. But I've seen some of the hurdles myself, because I've known you for for a long time, well over a decade, probably going on 2 decades now. I've seen you overcome some of those hurdles and some of the success points, and I'd love to share some of those success attributes that you've now inherently had and also seen in others, because you now surround yourself with a lot of other successful entrepreneurs. So can we share those thoughts when we come back?
Absolutely. I'm a product of the School of Hard Knocks. I can tell you that for sure.
That's why we love you, Barry. You're one of us. All right, so stay tuned, because we have Barry Habib, owner of MBS Highway and so much more, producer of Rock of Ages, coming back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on the Interview with the Giants. When we come back, don't go away.